All right, gonna give you my thoughts on Aljamain Sterling versus Piotr Jan, whatever. Um, this was a very close fight. I think as soon as the bell rang, I said, regardless of what the decision is, this is going to be somewhat controversial or at least disputed. But look, I scored it for Aljo. I thought Aljo won the fight. I think if you were to score that like under pride scoring, which is just at the end of the fight, you pick a winner, even though they sometimes factored in the end of the fight more than the beginning and whatever the fuck. But just picking a winner afterwards, I thought Aljo got the better of Jan. He got the better of him overall. As far as the decision goes, there's a lot of different factors. What a lot of people seem to think this fight comes down to is round one. I rewatched round one today. I still scored it for Aljo. I scored it last night for Aljo, although it was very close. I wouldn't complain if everybody on the planet scored it for Jan, but I just thought Aljo was a little more effective. He was evasive and moving well, landing nice kicks, and Jan was marching forward the whole time. Forward pressure, very high, tight stance. That's one thing that the commentators alluded to was he's a slow starter, Jan. He is. He makes reads and whatever they say in the first round, and that cost him here. Aljamain Sterling was fighting a much more measured fight, certainly a much more measured first round, as we speculated on before the fight. He's, he was in over his head in the first fight, and I think after round one, he knew, fuck, I made a big mistake with all that output. He had a much more measured approach here, but he still fought to win the round, and I thought he did. Regardless of what you thought about round one, round two is another controversial round, in my opinion. That should have been a 10-8 round for Aljamain Sterling. He got the takedown. He took Jan's back and had his back for 4 minutes. He had it after 1 minute of the second round. He had his back, or the mount or whatever. And he spent time rolling between back mount and full mount and whatever. But for the majority, he had the body triangle in, which is total control. And look, there's a lot of dispute about what constitutes a 10-8 round. When the UFC came up with the unified rules or whatever the fuck a few years ago, the last time they did this, they had a new standard, which is the 3Ds. Domination or dominance, I don't know. Duration and damage. You need two of the 3Ds to get a 10-8 round. And duration he absolutely had. He had 4 minutes of control, and it was dominance. Dominance for 4 minutes straight. He was on the back mount, full mount. That was just positionally dominant. As far as damage, he didn't do that much, but he had, a nice little flurry from the top, full mount, or whatever you call it. That might have been back mount, or Jan was on his side, but he was getting pounded with right-handed jackhammers. And I thought that was a 10-8 round. It baffles me that so many people didn't think it was a 10-8 round. I looked at the MMA decisions, the media aggregate of how they scored the fight, and they scored the fight largely with no 10-8s, no 10-8 rounds. I thought round two was just a lock for a 10-8 round. But anyway, as far as the fight overall, Jan took over in rounds 4 and 5, but it wasn't enough. Aljo was still in there and never gave him any moment of dominance, really. Jan started bullying Aljo a little bit, even in the wrestling department, especially in the wrestling department. But Sterling wasn't going away, and he had already done enough in the first 3 rounds, or, it's the second and third round anyway. I think if you scored the first round for Jan, it should have been a draw, but I scored it for Aljo, and it seems like the majority of the media, anyway, scored it for Aljo. I don't know about the fans. But look, this was the redemption of Aljamain Sterling. He came out, fought a much different fight. He sharpened his wrestling, I think, because Jan is a great defensive wrestler, but Aljo was relentless and opportunistic. He took him down very nicely in the second and third round. And Jan just, I don't want to say he's limited on the ground because I think he's skilled everywhere, but Aljo's better. I think Aljo's better than just about everybody on the ground. in that division. So it was a great redemption. Jan, where he goes from here, I don't know. Dana White was speculating that he'd maybe take another fight, Jan, and let Aljo fight Dillashaw. And eventually, Jan and Aljo, or whoever's the champ, Jan will probably make it back to the title, I'm thinking. That guy's a beast. He's clearly elite, but he was plagued. He's been plagued throughout his career for being a slow starter who makes reads and whatever, and it cost him here. It's so funny because the first fight, Aljamain Sterling came out like a fucking madman in round one, and that cost him the fight. And now in this fight, he was much more measured, but Jan's consistency, which is consistently being a slow starter, cost him here. That's one of Jan's traits, and he's looking back at it now going, fuck, just a little more pressure in round one. I know I've got the cardio to back myself up here. I could be the champion, but he's not. And like I said, no matter how you score it, I think if you look at them fighting for 25 minutes afterwards and say who got the better of whom, Aljo got the better of Jan. So I think the decision was just. I'm not just saying that because he's a Long Islander. Speaking of which, I loved after the second round, I think, or maybe the third round. The third round, I think it was, when Ray Longo goes, "Look at the little fucker," talking about Peter Yan. That was just another classic Ray Longo soundbite there. After I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. So really good night for Long Island. Rough night for Peter Yan, but these guys now they've got two razor thin fights, or two close fights, and they've got a lot of history. They've got a lot of respect for each other, but their history tells me that they're going to be rivals and they're going to fight again. I think Aljamain Sterling is the top dog. I don't know who I could see unseating him. I pick Aljo to beat Dillashaw. I'm pretty sure he's going to get that done. And Peter Yan, I don't know where he's going from here. He's going to have a tough fight ahead of him, but I don't see anybody beating that guy, really. Marab, maybe. That'd be interesting. And Marab, of course, will never fight Aljo, I don't think. They seem like brothers. So, really cool night for Aljamain Sterling. He gets his redemption. Rough night for Peter Yan. And overall, despite the, whatever you call it, the lack of big moments, this was a very interesting title fight. Very interesting title fight between two of the best fighters in the world. The two best fighters in the world. And I was really impressed, especially with Aljamain Sterling. I mean, it's, he didn't lose. He didn't win the last two rounds, which is never a good look. But when you look at the first fight compared to the second fight and the adjustments he made, it's a total victory for him. So, awesome performance, awesome fight. And Long Island. All right.